everybody, welcome to Think Like Mama, another episode for you. And for those of you who have subscribed to our channel already, thank you very much. It's lovely to have you there supporting us. And for those of you who are new to our channel, we would like to tell you we bring you content every 2 weeks. So please watch if you're a mama. This is all content that you will be interested on from mama to mama.
Today's guest is very special and dear to my heart because she is my son's physiotherapist. Brenda is a mom of 3, with the oldest already in university and 2 more boys, aged 15 and 10. She works at Healthbay Policlinic as a physiotherapist and a craniosacral therapist, and she specialized on babies between 0 and 14 months.
Today, she will tell us everything about physical development.
Hi Brenda, welcome.
Hi.
It's lovely to have you here. Can you tell us since when you've been a physiotherapist and at what point did you specialize in babies?
I graduated in 1997. I studied in Brussels, and I think it was the year 2000 that I got my first job in pediatrics.
Okay.
And then I kind of grew into it. I worked for an early intervention service. After a while I started combining with my own clinic, and 5 years ago we came to Dubai, and I'm just trying to use everything I learned back in Europe and work with babies and moms.
Brilliant, great.
So when our little ones are very young, we see them as so fragile, and we're not very sure sometimes as mom if it's okay to do certain type of exercises with them. Could you tell us a little bit more about what is called preventive gentle body work?
So if you just look back, like think the last weeks of your pregnancy, then you have like this baby who's kind of molded in this very tiny place. And if you think like labor, if you think delivery, if you think C-section, if you think maybe interventions like forceps or ventouse are being used on this little baby's body. So like the whole last weeks of pregnancy and birth process can actually mold your baby's body into like certain patterns or give a little strain on the neck or cranial bones. I think it's important also to like start moving with your baby as soon as possible when they're like tiny and fragile. It doesn't have to be like making big moves, but just position your baby in different positions, the way you carry him, the way you like dress him, the way you just move your baby a lot. That's what I...
Yeah, I felt that when mine was really little, I fell into exactly those patterns. Like I would carry him always in a specific way, and he would lie on me always in a specific way. And it was only after I met you really that I started switching that up and not only have him lying on the right side on me or then switching to the left side. It was, I don't know how it was for you, but for me it was really like that. I got into a rut with his movements basically.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. It's not always about like doing big things and big exercises with your baby. It's just like, I think it's very important as a mom just to be a little bit aware of like how you handle your baby and which movements you give, and also like as a therapist I always start with observing a baby and like what are the natural movements he uses. Some babies really pull like one shoulder down, one hip up, make one side short, look always at the same side. So from there you can go work towards alignment and make sure that when you hold your baby straight, that you bring the arms to the middle. All these little things, it's not like big and it's not really invasive, but it gives your baby another body awareness than just laying down in the same position all the time.
But I think that's the thing. I think already as moms we're not really being taught how to be a mom anymore, right? Like we don't live in big families, we're not really, it's not handed down by generations anymore. And I think something like that specifically, we're not being taught, we're not being told, like arms in the middle, try to align the little body.
I had no idea.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think
everything,
it's so important.
Definitely.
Even if you don't see an issue, just to inform yourself about these best practices. Yeah.
As a therapist, on a baby you cannot go hard. I always use a blend of like very soft stretches, osteopathic techniques, craniosacral techniques, movement, but it's always like non-invasive, and you will see very often your baby like relax into the movement or into the cranial work, like you see them a little bit like melting like butter
Falling
and
asleep
falling
like
asleep.
my little one.
Really good technique
So-
for some moms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But imagine yourself if if your body had a hard time, somebody work,
Oh, definitely.
like and especially when you can relax the neck, you also you have a big impact on the nervous system also.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So one thing that is quite common with babies, and it was actually the reason that I came to see you first, is plagiocephaly, so the way that their head isn't quite symmetrically shaped. How do parents deal with it? At what point should they come to see you, and what can they do about it?
Yeah. So the plagiocephaly, it's the big word for a baby with a flat head. We see this very often, babies with a flat head. This is actually because this baby's skull is so fragile and so moldable. There are like 22 bones coming together, fontanelles in between, sutures in between, and the baby's skull is made like this to come through the birth canal, so to give it some space. It's also made like this because the brain has to grow, and after the age of like 18 months to 2 years, these sutures will close up, these fontanelles will close up. But it gives the baby some time, it gives the baby's brain some time to grow, but also makes the skull very fragile. And sometimes when you see a baby with a flat head, then very often there is an underlying neck problem or like movement problem, which causes the baby that lays on the back will lay always in the same position, his most comfortable position, and then maybe will always lean into one spot of his head, and then gravity does the rest. Just always the pressure over there will make this will make this side go flat. And then as a compensation, maybe other parts start busting out a little bit more, or maybe the skull gives an impression that it's like twisted a little bit. So it's a common problem, but I think if it's recognized early and worked on early with physiotherapy and with a lot of movement, and especially with just making parents aware, it's not going to get worse. And then very often then if you learn the parents and the baby some good habits like tummy time, like move a lot, like keep the pressure off the head, when you relax the neck with very soft physio and osteo techniques, then this baby will come out of this like most comfortable position, or the strain of the neck will settle, and then this baby will go and move more freely. And I think it's more important to treat the underlying problem that's causing the plagiocephaly or the funny head shape.
So you said that there's things how we can recognize it as moms. What are moments that you could say, oh, maybe there's an issue with imbalance within the body?
So if you already know, like, oh, I had a really long labor, a ventouse was used with my delivery, or a forceps was used, or my baby was stuck in the birth canal, there was an emergency C-section, that means there was already a lot of stress on the baby's body. Now when your baby's new there, when you notice like he's always laying in the same position, always laying with his head to one side, and when you then try to turn his head to the other side, always goes back. And when you notice like very early breastfeeding issues, like when a baby goes better on one breast than the other, could also like indicate a little bit of problems in the neck. When you hear clicking sounds, or when you have the baby that is not opening his mouth very wide and has like a very shallow latch, all these things can be like brought back to like this neck problem that you see very often with babies, or like this strain in the body, or this imbalances in body that if you can like release this, all these little things will go better.
You mentioned earlier that tummy time is a good opportunity for the children to adapt their movements, and it's very useful for their physical development.
Yeah.
How can you, perhaps for the moms that are watching here, how can you tell them that they should do the tummy time with their babies in order for the babies to be comfortable and to make use of what is useful out of the tummy time?
Yeah. Now you have to think like you have to see tummy time is your baby's first date with gravity. It's like when you're...
I love that.
Yeah. It's like when your baby is on his back, it will be like... it will be under influence of all these like primitive reflexes, like the startle and the asymmetric tonic neck reflex, the symmetric tonic neck reflex, and it will be pulled in as asymmetric positions, where when a baby is brought on the tummy, the baby can start with lifting the head. Also with lifting the head, but it's not only about lifting the head, it's also about developing shoulder muscles. Get some body awareness. Like in the beginning, your baby will be very much in this fetal position with hands and knees very close. The more tummy time you offer, the more your baby's front side will open up. Okay. In tummy time, when they learn to lift the head and start to look left, right, they will learn balance. They will learn to shift their weight from one side to the other side. They will train their body, and they will become more aware of their body. So this tummy time is really something that I think should be introduced from day one. And of course, like a newborn baby, you're not gonna plant on the floor and let's do tummy time. No. So the first week's tummy time is just time on your chest. Just lean back and let your baby lay on the chest. And your baby will then once in a while lift the head and turn the head to the other side, and also make aware when your baby is taking a nap on your chest that one time the head is to the left, the other time the head is to the right. Because then actually gravity comes into your baby's body, and then also gives like very gentle stretches on the baby's neck muscles, on the toe, even on the body, like you can stretch your baby out.
That's lovely, because you know when I think of tummy time, I sort of think of like putting the baby, you know, on the floor, and like the only movements that you describe of that, you know, lifting the head or the shoulders. But actually, you're right. When you put the baby on your body, they're tummy to tummy, right?
Yeah,
so
and
that's tummy time too.
It's skin to skin. It feels your heartbeat. It feels your warmth. So you don't let anybody tell you that you're spoiling your baby. It's the most natural thing.
I agree with that.
And you can first weeks you can consider this like early tummy time.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Very useful.
It's a hard moment to kind of put them on the floor and then see that they're frustrated and getting a bit grumpy, and then you stop because you don't want them to fuss around too much. And I think that way they're so less likely to fuss because they have you right there.
It's lovely. Very nice technique.
And also like when they grow a little bit bigger and grow a little bit stronger, then you can go for like tummy time on the floor or on the ball. But tummy time is not. It's like this evolution in development. It starts like with just lifting the head, and then arms come a little bit more forward. Then it's like, okay, I can use my underarms, I can push up, then I can lift up higher, I can shift my weight, I can put my weight on one side, go and grab a toy, bring it to me, like explore the toy, I don't lose my balance. So it's like a whole evolution your baby has to go through. So at one point it's important that you go from the chest time to floor time. And this floor time, what I always advise people who are coming, like make it fun, like engage with your baby, bond with your baby, go on the floor with your baby, make it short, encourage your baby, roll your baby to tummy, like be very supportive, like encourage him, use eye contact, sing songs. And if you notice the baby is getting a little bit cranky, you roll him back to the back, you play some games over there in another position. When your baby is calmed down again, you go again for this tummy time. And if you do this, like, doesn't have to be long, do this like 10 minutes, but do like 3 or 4 times a day, 10 minutes.
There you go.
At the end of the day, you had a lot of practice.
Yeah. And I think it's nice also, you know, sometimes as moms, and I have flashbacks on when my daughter was that young, and thinking like, okay, how should I entertain her? You know, so it could actually be used for these moments where we as moms, we don't know what to do with our babies. We feel like, you know, what kind of activity would she be interested on at this age? Perhaps this, I think, is a win-win, because they could get entertained, and at the same time, as you said, like, it's a practice. So Yeah, I think it's great.
So instead of putting your baby in, the bouncer seat, I think very often it is convenient, especially when they have a little bit of reflux or when you really need to do some stuff. But yeah, if your baby is like happy and has this like in this golden window, like entertain me, just go on the floor and make it a habit, and your baby will learn very fast. And then this baby will grow into like this strong, little bit more independent baby that at the age of 5 months can be on the floor, be in his playing corner and entertain himself for a little while you do your dinner or while you prepare your dinner, or it makes the base for all further motor development, because actually you're training shoulders, you're training chest, you're training in between the shoulder blades, you're training core, you're training balance, and this your baby will need for later on to go roll.
Of course.
When your baby learns to sit, it will need like a strong core to be able to keep himself up against gravity, and it will also need these lateral muscles to don't lose balance, and so in tummy time a lot is prepared for every later step in development.
Nice.
So as parents, we look at the development of our children, right? And we kind of always wait for the next step to happen, whether that is that they smile for the first time, or that they walk for the first time, or that they say the first words. We're always kind of obviously hoping for the next, on the hunt for the next, because we don't want to be late in case something is delayed. But being so anxious for the next step to happen, especially in their physical development, might not be always the smartest choice, because we need to give them the time to develop on their own and to find their own pace with their physical development. Why is that so crucial that we don't rush them?
Yeah, I like the word base that you mentioned just before. Like every child has his own base, so base in development. You can like go and look at milestones and get really stressed. My baby is not doing this, or my baby is not doing that. But it's better to look like on what he does and on how he does it. And then you have some general rules about motor development. It's like, it goes from top down, so from head to feet. The baby gains control over his head first, later on shoulders, later on core, pelvis, then the legs. That's why your baby needs to be like around a year to go to walk, because and then the second thing is like your baby will develop from inside out. So it will like develop first like neck, develop core, shoulders, which will make the big and the large movements, and then later on, when it's okay here, then it goes more distal, and then you have like fine motor skills and use of hands. So it's from top down, it's from inside out, it's from big to small. So if you keep this in mind, then it's very logic that your baby has to go through all these steps to come to independent walking.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Also very often I hear parents come in like, oh, my baby's gonna definitely skip crawling, and I'm like, we should really encourage this baby, because the crawling, it's a movement, and it's a very complex movement. It asks for like a good coordination, it asks for stability in the shoulders, stability in the hips, it asks for good core, for good balance. So if a baby is able to crawl, it just has a lot of things going for him. If you have the baby that shuffles on his bum, on the bum, then you have a baby that is gonna be getting into trouble when it needs to get out of this position of going into a higher position. When you have a baby that crawls, next step it's gonna crawl towards your sofa, put his hands to pull itself up. When you have a baby that shuffles, it's not gonna be able to get out of this position. So
because from there it's very hard to move forward over the center of gravity towards up.
Plus, you don't. These babies, they don't rotate, and it's just a more rich movement to crawling and shuffling. So I would definitely stimulate. And I'd rather have a baby like crawl at the age of 11 months and walk when it's 13, 14 months than the baby that skips the crawling and goes directly into walking at the age of 10 months. So don't rush.
Don't rush. I think that's the biggest message. Yeah. You know, sometimes we hesitate if what we're doing is the correct thing to do or it's not. In order for us, for mothers, are there any general do's and don'ts in terms of physical development that you recommend?
So I think the most important thing is that you let your baby have this first date with gravity and put your baby on the tummy.
Mm-hmm.
So tummy time on the chest first, then from chest time to floor time. Encourage your baby, make sure it feels safe, try to bond with your baby, engage, make it fun, make it short, give it a lot of movement. Also, tummy time, you can also do tummy time while you carry your baby on its tummy. You move a lot with your baby. Also, when you're dressing your baby, don't be too like, oh my god, my baby is so fragile. Turn it to the tummy and let your baby feel a lot of rolling. Cuddle your baby, massage your baby, move your baby, because that way your baby will get a little bit more aware of its own body and with the possibilities he has with that little body, and he has so much to learn. So I think if you are, as a mother, are like a little bit confident in how you respond to your baby and move with your baby will be fine on its tummy and will be fine with being moved.
Mm-hmm.
So that
more focusing on the don'ts. You know, sometimes we hear that the babies should sleep on the side, on the back, on the front. What would you recommend?
Yeah. Now, the advice for World Health Organization is that the baby should sleep on the back.
Mm-hmm.
It's just for the prevention of SIDS. But I think this advice should definitely be followed. When you're not monitoring your baby, when you're asleep yourself, you should sleep, your baby should be on the back. That is just the safest way. But on the other hand, like when your baby is very small, as a mom, you're always hovering around. So I would definitely, if you can keep an eye on your baby, don't be too scared to let your baby have a little nap on one side, on the other side, or even on the tummy. But just make sure that it's like on a firm surface, that it's well ventilated, that there are no like fluffy toys around, so that there is good airflow, that you can keep an eye on your baby. And then I think all these different positioning, I think like 15 years ago, that was the advice what moms got when their baby was born, one sleep on the side, next sleep on the tummy, next sleep on the other side. And back then we didn't have any problems like plagioccephaly, so I think certainly do like move your baby, position your baby. Don't be scared to offer something else than my baby should sleep on the back and it should be in the baby cocooner or in the sleeping bed on its back. Those are devices that are developed to make your baby a little bit more comfortable on the back.
Okay.
But they don't encourage like natural movements.
Right. Yeah, I remember that when we had the little one, my mom immediately said, "This is so bizarre, but to me they told me that you should sleep on the tummy." Especially because I had these 3-month colics, right? So my tummy was uncomfortable. So she was advised to let me sleep like that. And then when I had my son, it was like, no, put him on the back. And you see how an understanding within society and within the medical field also changes. But I think your advice is so precious that take the moments when you can, when you're there, when you can see your baby, to let them experience sleeping on the tummy. And then when you're not, opt for the safest option. Yeah. So with all that said, first-time moms especially are quite nervous. They always wonder whether we're doing the right thing or not, whether we're putting the baby's health at risk or whether we're supporting their physical development as we should. What are 3 points of advice that you can give as a summary that will put especially first-time mamas at ease?
I think, first thing, engage with your baby. Cuddle him, massage him, keep him close to you, keep him on your chest. That's tummy time. Slow down. Go at your baby's pace. Follow your gut. Just just follow your gut feeling, look at your baby and just observe and follow your gut in what he needs, because this interaction and this bonding, it's about you and your baby and not about like what
Other
you should
moms
do
and
and what
other-
other moms do, or what like is prescribed in books and in just go slow, follow your gut and carry your baby on.
Brilliant. Brenda, thank you so much for being with us today. It was an absolute pleasure to have you. It felt a little bit like a flashback for us, right?
Oh, big time, yeah. It's nice,
Brilliant.
nice memories, I think.
Nice
from
memories,
a few
for
years
sure.
back. Yeah.
Thank you all moms for listening to what I had to say. And if you ever have any questions about your baby's development, just come and check me out in Healthbay. Very often just one session can like give a lot of ease of mind and a lot of advice like how to move your baby and don't be scared about this.
I can subscribe to that. Her sessions helped me, and even once my little one was kind of out of the difficult stage, I still kept coming back on a regular basis, because for me it was just such a relief to kind of have that second opinion to just tell me, listen, you're doing fine and your baby's fine. So with that said, it was lovely to have you today. Please come and check out our Instagram feed. We're posting every day for you.
And to all mamas out there, trust your instincts.
And think like mama.
Thank you.
Bye.